Hello and welcome. Today I want to share with you 9 things I stopped buying and how this shift toward financial minimalism has genuinely changed my relationship with money and stuff. I used to think that buying more would make me happier, that accumulating things was a sign of success. But over time, I realized something different. Every purchase carries a cost beyond the price tag. It costs space in your home, mental energy to maintain and organize it, and often it costs future freedom. So I started asking myself a harder question before each purchase. Do I actually need this? And that question changed everything. The first thing I stopped buying is fast fashion. For years, I filled my closet with cheap clothes from trend-focused retailers. I would buy a shirt because it was on sale, not because I needed it or because it fit my actual life. My closet was overflowing, yet I still felt like I had nothing to wear. I was trapped in a cycle of buying low-quality items that fell apart after a few washes. This was expensive, wasteful, and stressful. Now, I buy fewer pieces, but they're better quality. I choose neutral colors and classic cuts that work together. My mornings are simpler because getting dressed takes seconds. My closet is smaller, but somehow it feels fuller. I spend less money overall because I'm not constantly replacing worn-out items. The investment upfront is higher, but the long-term savings are significant. Quality clothes last years instead of months. The second thing I stopped buying is home decor items I don't need. I used to walk into stores and feel this pull toward cute things: decorative pillows, wall art, little sculptures, scented candles, and fancy jars. They all promise to make my space feel more curated, more stylish, more like the interiors I saw online. But here's what happened. These items accumulated. They took up shelf space, they needed to be dusted, and they didn't actually change how I felt in my home. What did change how I felt was simplicity. Now my spaces are cleaner, my walls are mostly bare. I have 1 or 2 pieces that genuinely matter to me rather than 20 that don't. This isn't deprivation, it's clarity. Every object in my home now serves a purpose or brings real joy. The result is spaces that feel calm instead of cluttered, and I'm not constantly trying to rearrange things or buy new decor to refresh the look. A third thing I stopped buying is kitchen gadgets for single purposes. I used to buy special tools for every small task: an avocado slicer, a spiralizer, a bread maker, a juice press. Each one promised to make my life easier, but they all took up cabinet space, required cleaning, and most sat unused. I realized I already had knives and cutting boards. Those worked fine. I didn't need 17 different appliances to cook well. Now I have a small kitchen, a cutting board, a few pots and pans, basic utensils. That's truly enough. Cooking is actually more enjoyable because I can find what I need without searching through drawers. Meal prep is faster because I'm not managing an arsenal of specialized tools. And when I move or reorganize, it's simple. The fourth thing I stopped buying is subscription services I don't actively use. I had subscriptions to streaming platforms I barely watched, magazine subscriptions that piled up unread, music streaming services running in the background. Each one seemed small, maybe $10 or $20 a month, but together they added up to hundreds of dollars yearly for things I wasn't actually using. I went through and canceled everything. Now I keep only 1 or 2 subscriptions I genuinely use several times per week. This wasn't about deprivation. It was about honesty. If I wasn't using something, I shouldn't be paying for it. The freed up mental space was almost as valuable as the freed up money. Every charge on my credit card now represents something I'm actually getting value from. The fifth thing I stopped buying is convenience foods and eating out constantly. I used to grab coffee every morning, buy lunch most days, and order dinner several times a week. It felt normal, part of my routine. But the cost was staggering. $5 for coffee, $15 for lunch, $30 for dinner. That's $50 a day, hundreds per week, thousands per year. Beyond the money, I noticed I felt less healthy and less intentional. I was eating whatever was available, not what I actually wanted to eat. I started cooking at home more. I make coffee in my own kitchen. I pack lunch. Sure, I still go out sometimes, but it's an intentional choice, not a default. The money I save is substantial, but the bigger shift is that I feel more in control. I know what's in my food. I'm not stressed about budget before I eat. And honestly, food I've made myself tastes better. The sixth thing I stopped buying is impulse purchases in general. I used to shop when I was bored or stressed. It was a habit. I would browse online, see something, and buy it without thinking. The dopamine hit from clicking purchase was real, but it was brief. Then the item would arrive and I'd often feel buyer's remorse. I'd either return it or it would end up in a closet, adding to my mental load. I changed my behavior by creating a simple rule. If I want something, I put it on a list and wait 2 weeks. If I still want it after 2 weeks, I reconsider whether I can afford it without impacting my other goals. Most items fall off the list. I forget about them entirely. This practice has saved me thousands of dollars and has made me much more intentional about what enters my life. The seventh thing I stopped buying is new books when I haven't read ones I already own. I used to buy books constantly, seduced by new releases and beautiful covers. My shelves were full of unread books. I felt guilty every time I looked at them. Now I have a simple rule. I finish the books I own before buying new ones. This has actually deepened my reading experience. I'm more selective about what I read. I finish more books, and I've discovered that many books I thought I needed to read weren't actually for me. I use my library instead of buying new. This saves money, and it feels good to borrow books and return them rather than accumulating them. The eighth thing I stopped buying is expensive fitness equipment and gadgets. I used to think that buying the right equipment would make me exercise more. A treadmill, weights, a fancy workout watch. But these items sat in my apartment unused, and I felt guilty about the money wasted every time I saw them. What changed things was committing to simple, free exercise. Walking, bodyweight exercises at home. These cost nothing, require no equipment, and I actually do them. I'm healthier now than when I was buying expensive gym memberships and equipment I didn't use. The ninth and final thing I stopped buying is things to impress other people. This is the deepest one for me. I used to buy items because I thought they communicated something about who I was. A designer handbag, expensive shoes, luxury goods. I wanted people to see these things and think I was successful, sophisticated, wealthy. But here's what I realized. The people who matter don't care about my possessions. And the people who do care about my possessions aren't actually people whose opinions should matter to me. I stopped buying to impress anyone. I buy what I need and what genuinely brings me joy, regardless of brand or price point. The freedom in this is exceptional. I'm not constantly comparing myself to others. I'm not anxious about whether I'm keeping up. I'm just living in a way that feels honest. So what has financial minimalism actually given me? First, it's freed up money. I spend less overall because I'm not constantly buying things that don't serve me. That money can go toward things that actually matter.